Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen. You are joining me here on the starting grid at the Salzburgring for the final race of this weekend for the Eastern European TCR. Just the 5 cars behind me on the starting grid, so no attendance from the Croatian Championship. The drivers are lined up on the starting grid, and we have got this time Žarko Knego on pole position. So let's see if we can get a few words from him. Žarko did not really have the best of luck so far this weekend, but also on the podium in the race earlier on. Žarko, it's been up and down this weekend, also crazy with all the traffic in the previous races. Now it's just you and your colleagues. So what are your expectations from this race?
Yeah, it was a quite difficult race with all the cars that were driving with us, and it was not easy to overtake, but eventually we managed. In the first race I had a tire puncture. In the second race I finished second, so I hope to continue upwards like it was.
Okay, have a good one, enjoy it. Let's make our way on the other side of the front row. Oh, that's Radim Adamek on the other side of the front row. We keep going because we have got Jirka Zbožinek. He had a beautiful fight with Žarko actually earlier on in the previous race. And let's see if we can get a quick word with Jirka. Jirko, hi. Was a beautiful race earlier on with Žarko. I hope you enjoyed it. What is your view before the race number 3?
Yeah, I enjoyed previous race. I am feeling good, and I just want to make a good start, and then we will see.
Thank you so much. Enjoy it. Maybe we'll make our way on the other side of the grid very briefly, but we have to leave the grid. So let's be extremely quick. Martin, not the best of luck so far. So what do you see from this race?
Yeah, unfortunately second race I had a puncture, so I'm hoping to not get one this race. I'll try to get a good start as always. Try to keep Adam behind me, which will be crucial for the rest of the race, and then try to fight my way through.
Okay, we're going to leave it to it. Have a good one, and let's go and enjoy the race. So the cars are making their way around this 4.2 kilometer racetrack. It's the final preparation for the final race of the weekend, race number 3 of the TCR Eastern Europe here at Salzburgring, this time without the attendance of the Croatian Championship. So it's going to be the 5 drivers battling it out together with no ongoing traffic. And the field is also mixed up. So we have got Žarko leading the race, and we've got the winning drivers in the back. Martin Kadlecik, who is the championship leader after the races in Croatia, but so far he's not found the recipe to beat Adam Koht this weekend. So for Adam, so far a clean sweep here in Austria. Let's see if he can do that from last on the grid as well. So the green flag is in the air, and therefore we can start the final race of the day for TCR Eastern Europe. There we go, away from the grid with Martin Kadlecik immediately trying to get ahead of his teammate and Jirka Zbožinek, which he does, and he's immediately battling also Žarko Knego into the opening chicane, and he assumes the lead into the first corner. That was the quick progress that he absolutely needed, because this is his biggest rival, Adam Koht, who's currently still in 4th. We're expecting him to make quick progress. Radim Adamek down to 5th now. And through the corners we go. So Martin Kadlecik trying to make the run for it, just like we saw earlier on by a couple of drivers. For example, Max Karahan in the F4 race. Just make the move early on, and then do not allow any sort of dispute or discussion for the race win. But I am suspecting that it's going to be a little more difficult story this time out here in this race. Adam Koht starting to make the moves. He's trying to pull one on his teammate Jirka Zbožinek around the outside of turn 11. Then there's the pole sitter Žarko Knego in the other Hyundai Elantra. And then there will already be clear view behind Martin Kadlecik for Adam Koht. That, of course, if Žarko Knego does not put huge defense and does not keep Adam Koht behind. Could also happen. Let's see. So we are now making our way out of the final turn. Adam Koht starting the race rather more carefully. You can see the different approach, and that was a pretty aggressive break-in maneuver by Martin Kadlecik. He's really trying to give it all, and the car is just jumping. It doesn't really seem or feel entirely happy on all those bumps and in all those high compression corners. We've already seen trouble for Martin Kadlecik in the previous race. There was contact against the bodywork with the tire, and Martin then collected puncture. Not really sure whether it was from that setting. I have the understanding that they changed the setting overnight to help that situation a little bit. However, it could also have been the off-track excursion which happened to Martin when there was the one of the slower cars from the Croatian Championship earlier on as well. That had a total engine blowout into the first chicane. There was oil on the track, and Martin then also battling another car just rather used the runoff area, and maybe the reason for the puncture was actually there. I guess we'll never know. So around the final corner we go again. Žarko Knego still stays in second, but Martin Kadlecik does not pull away that quickly. 125.9, the fastest lap set by him so far. Let's see how that evolves, because Kadlecik is not really driving away that much. He's still around 1 second ahead of Knego. So actually this quartet has been lapping the track in a very similar fashion They are all within half a second with their lap times, but I suspect that definitely Adam Goat still has some more pace in his car, and if he's able to show it and get ahead of Knego, then he will be very quickly on the back of Kadlecik. But let's see. 0.9 between Kadlecik and Knego, another half a second behind him. And then further 7/10 away is Jirka Zbožinek, who's controlling the situation from fourth. So now around the outside goes Goat. He did not find any space down the inside the previous on the previous lap, but this time he makes it stick. That's actually one of the beautiful moves. Maybe he just wanted that one to have in his collection from this weekend as well. So inside line didn't work for him on the previous lap. This one does. And we still have 20.5 minutes left to go. So a lot of time to play. 125.6, 125.6, nothing to choose from between the first two drivers. Their lap times being just half a tenth from one another. So it's bound to get interesting. Yes, you could argue that Goat was also held behind Knego a little bit on the previous lap, but at the same time he was enjoying a healthy slipstream all the way up the back straight, which definitely helped him gain some momentum and some top speed. .125.1 is the new fastest lap. Actually, they traded fastest lap times with Martin on the previous lap because Martin Kadlecik did 125.3 exactly, but only 1.3 seconds after that he was beaten by Goat with his lap of 125.1. So it's getting closer and closer, and we will have a fight for the race victory on our hands. And then the fight for third between Knego and Zbožinek. It was Knego then actually coming out on top of that one in the previous race. But let's see what happens this time around. Kadlecik tries to drive as clean as possible. He's still some 0.2 of a second consistently slower than Goat. So out of the final one we go. It's actually getting rather windy here, I need to say. It's quite hot, so that always comes in handy, but it's like 24 degrees centigrade. But what is the weather doing? Because theoretically, later on, we should get some rain. I still think it's only going to come when all the program finishes, which is definitely not bad for us. Yellow thunderstorm alert, says the local weather service, but apparently it's supposed to come only somewhere between 5 and 6 p.m. So all the races are supposed to finish by then. We only have 2 left. After this, there's the final race of the Renault Twingo Cup, which I'm going to take part of, so you'll get spare commentator for that one as well. It's going to be quite a crazy and quick change, honestly. Jumping from the broadcasting van to the car and then back, because after that we will witness the Formula 4 Central European Zone weekend finale. And Adam Cote, I believe he's enjoying this one. He's reeling Martin in. There's still plenty of time. He doesn't need to rush. But, you know, he's putting his headlights flashing skills to use. Something that he practiced well enough in the previous 2 races. And we've also got the fight for third. Still Žarko Knego coming out on top of that one. They are currently lapping around about 1 second slower than the 2 cars ahead, enjoying their fight. I need to say that Martin's car looks already a lot more poised than a lot more comfortable than previously. Although at one moment breaking into the first chicane it was actually quite bumpy. But here, yeah, but there might still be actually some smoke coming from underneath the front left wheel arch. And Cote is just steadily that tiny little bit faster every single lap, just half a second between them. The last time out, it's not going to change a whole lot from now on, unless an overtaking maneuver comes. 0.594. Actually, this time Adam was slightly slower, but it's just a matter of thousandths of a second. There's really nothing to choose between them. And we're waiting for the first overtaking attempt. But, as is always said in motorsport, to get in touch with and to overtake are 2 completely different things. Let's see. Martin tries to drive as cleanly as possible, of course. Especially out of this corner, which dictates what sort of speed you get together with yourself all the way up the hill. It's a hugely important corner, that one. And things are already happening. I think Cote had a first look. He just checked left and right into 12, which is actually where he got Knego earlier on. And we've just ticked over to the second half of the race here in Austria. And now they are already quite close, just under 0.4 of a second, still flashing the headlights. Kadlecik already having to assume the defense line into the first chicane. Then returning back onto the racing line, but really having to jump over the curbs absolutely aggressively, not to lose any kph. 7/10 also between Knego and Zbožinek. So that one's also close. But look at that, like into 12, Martin always takes a rather defensive line as he just tries to break somewhere around the middle of the road, not to leave the door hugely open down the inside. And so far Adam has not really come up with anything, so there's still a chance that Martin can win this one and remain the championship leader. This one is actually for the championship lead. There is a red and yellow flag, and Radim Adamek is in the pits. We also saw one of the bollards out of position, so I would assume that it was probably him, maybe taking the chicane a lot more straight than he needed to, and maybe he damaged the front grille or the splitter, because the bonnet's up and the mechanics were also looking well into the car, underneath the car, and we had debris on track in the opening chicane because of that bollard was torn off out of its position. Still nothing here, and still in turn 11. That car is just, it's not bottoming, but you see that the compression is quite extreme for the front left, and there is still smoke coming from the front left tire of Martin Kadlecik, where it just gets into contact with the bodywork. So basically the car beats itself up every single lap in that corner. But you can't lift. You've got to keep going, otherwise, well, because you've got the Yannick Motorsports Elantra right behind you. And this is actually a very nice fight. I mean, yeah, so far there's not been a lot of fighting in it, but it is a battle of patience, and so far absolutely no mistakes at all. This wasn't the best of lines through turn 5 for Adam. He's going to lose a tiny little bit up the hill. The debris is still there on the track. There it is. That is the remains of the bollard. And the gap is just going to remain around half a second, honestly, because you can't really actually get closer than that and not getting entangled in an overtaking attempt, which is of course what Adam is trying to get into. But they are just so matched on pace that it's just not coming. And it's a beautiful fight. I'm sure that both of these drivers are enjoying. Yeah, from how I know them, they're definitely enjoying it. It is not the most spectacular of battles that you've ever seen in the TCR world, but again, it's basically the matter of who blinks first. And again, a little plume of smoke coming from underneath the car, and now Adam Coates sends it down the inside. They touch. Adam tried the surprising switchback. Martin Kadlecik did not yield, but then it created a situation from which there was no escape for Adam Coates. So they actually touched at the end of that. You could also see that Martin probably released the brake a tiny little bit, left a little more space down the inside, but only in the latter part of the corner. So he still closed the door on Adam, didn't let him in. But then there was no other possible outcome than a touch, but both drivers handled it perfectly. Adam is going to have to come up with something else, but it's difficult because he would need to be a lot closer to try an attempt into the first chicane, or he would just need to send it from quite far behind, which is not so easy when also Martin can be very late on the brakes. He's definitely no pencil sharpener in this respect. But what else then? Then you've got turn number 5 where, well, yeah, again, you just have to send it and then you'd risk completely overdoing it. This is probably the best chance that Adam tries to have a look down the inside yet again. I don't think he wants to send it round the outside because, yeah, I think Martin is so good that he wouldn't really allow Adam to do that. So he tries another surprise down the inside, but Martin just saw that coming. I mean, he's smart enough. Ooh, and that's a big one for Jiří Zbožínek. That's a big one in turn number 11. With 5 minutes left on the clock, I believe that could even be a race stopper. That was a massive shunt for Jiří Zbožínek. He's opening the door, so I'm assuming that hopefully he'll be okay. But that was a massive one at the end of this TCR race, which is now being red flagged. And that's something that we really did not want to see. The race was shaping up for a beautiful fight for the race victory. But unfortunately, there's a huge shunt. I'm also looking on one of the other cameras where Žarko Knego is. He's continuing, and I don't see any damage on his car. So, not really sure whether it was a contact or Jiří simply lost it on his own. But that was a big one. And, well, Jirka opened the door initially. Now there's no further movement from him. He's not getting out of the car. But I just really, I mean, he sent it nose first. Doesn't even look like he was rotating. Maybe he had to correct a beginning slide or developing slide, and as he corrected it, maybe he just then went tangentially out of track and into the barrier head on, and that would have been a big impact. So okay, so far we don't see any further movement, and the medical cars at the scene of the accident, of course. We are now steering our cameras away from the spot. There is also, but I see it on one of the other cameras, and there's a track marshal with a fire extinguisher. Race is not going to be restarted, and there's medical crew at the scene of the accident. And he's going to get medical assistance because I got some hope from the initial movement because I saw him opening the door, but apparently he's unable to get out of the car himself, and there are now medical workers at the scene of the impact. Okay, we're trying to get any sort of information that we get, at least for all the team members and the family members, so that you know what's going on. I don't want to make this sound overly dramatic, but let me just tell you that yeah, there is medical assistance on the site, and he's gonna have to be extricated out of the car. he's also going to have to be fixated, because I believe that there's a concern if anything's been broken or yeah, whatever. Ambulance is also at the scene of the accident. And he's communicating, because there are doctors on the site, and they are talking to Jiří, who apparently is responding. And as I mentioned, I saw the movement initially where Jiří just tried to open the door and then realized that, okay, this is probably a little bit too much for me. And he's gonna have to be taken away in an ambulance. Okay, he's moving in the car and he is now stepping out of the car himself. Okay, so Jiří's out of the car, he's walking. That's the most important thing. Honestly, we didn't really want to put it on the screens too soon. But there is Jiří, and he's walking away. He's definitely shaken, and he's definitely going to take medical assistance, but this is the most important thing, that he's going to lie down. That's what he needs, definitely. But he stepped out of the car in the end himself. And he was walking, so at least that is a good sign for you. Of course, that's not the way we wanted the race to end, and the barriers will also take now some time to repair, because there's a lot of damage to it, so it's going to take a while before we're able to start the next race, which is the Twingo Cup race number 2. Yeah, we really were hoping for a different sort of ending and climax to this race, because there was a beautiful fight shaping up between Martin Kadlecík and Adam Kout. In the end, Martin Kadlecík will then be the race winner. From Adam Kout and Žarko Knigo, Jiří Zbožínek crashing out in turn number 11, and we just send him just best wishes that the outcome can be as good as possible. This is not really what we want to see. So, yeah, all thoughts with him, but we saw him walk away. That's the most important thing for now, and we just hope that it's just some bruises and nothing more.